Hi, everyone. I'm Peggy Stevens. I'm the chairman of the Board of Directors for High USA. Welcome to Santa Monica, where our Board of Directors is meeting for its regular quarterly meeting. But before I talk about the board, how about that hostel that we just saw images of here in Southern California? This hostel is almost 30 years old. It was opened by the Los Angeles Council along with the High USA organization almost 30 years ago, like I said. It is a very successful hostel, and it's one of the hostels in our older buildings. But recently, we've invested and upgraded the look, the vibe, the colors inside, the colors of the linen. It's a really cool place. We were there just last night for a reception. We got to meet directly the volunteers who are out here working along with our staff, making our guests feel welcome here in Southern California. Many of our buildings are actually repurposed buildings, which is part of our sustainability effort. This building here in Santa Monica is a little bit different. We built our hostel building, a purpose-built building, right around a historic structure. So you walk in the modern doors, and there before you is a structure from 1875. It's incorporated into our hostel, and it's become a terrific community meeting space. The former city former city hall, the former beer hall, is now a place where we hear comedy, where we hear music performance, and where we have community meetings. And that's part of who we're about as Hosteling USA all across the country. Let me mention what our mission is. Not just mention, but tell you what our mission is, because we think about it every day. Our mission, to help all, especially the young, gain a greater understanding of the world and its people through hosteling. We do it here in Santa Monica. We do it in our 32 owned hostels throughout the country, and we see it happening in the 16 independently operated affiliated hostels that help us deliver the message and the opportunity and the experience all over the United States. And it's not just our guests that are engaged in the hosteling community. When we offer a program here in Santa Monica or in Boston or in Washington, D.C., or Chicago, it's not just our guests, it's also our volunteers and residents of the surrounding communities that are engaging in the purpose of hosteling. We appreciate that. As I mentioned earlier, our board is here in Santa Monica having one of its quarterly meetings. We do meet in a city in which there is a hostel every quarter to take up the business of our hostel. I'd like to take a few minutes to introduce you to some of our board members, all of our board members. And here you have on the screen and following men and women from all over the United States. They represent different business backgrounds, different experiential backgrounds, and they're all committed to travel, and they're all committed to the mission of High USA. And we need that passion and we need that business understanding in order for the board to make appropriate decisions to move our organization forward. Today this afternoon we're gathered for our 5th annual stakeholder forum. This is part of our commitment, post-unification of the 26 hostels that were formerly operating independently here in the United States. This is part of our commitment to stay in touch with our members, our donors, our volunteers, and our advocates. I know that some of you are watching us live today, and I know that some of you will watch this as a tape later on in the year. So how do we get to today? Why is it that we know what to talk about today? Well, our members and donors, our volunteers, our staff, and our advocates actually submitted questions to us, and that gave us a framework for how we should answer or what people were interested in answering. So today you're going to hear some themes that will cover many of the types of questions that we received, and then later on in January, a tape of this forum today, as well as a constructed frequently asked questions, will be posted on the High USA website, so you can use it as reference. You can watch us as many times as you like, and we'd love to have you. So what can you expect from today's forum? We're going to be showcasing High USA's commitment to 3 pillars that support our triple bottom line. Triple bottom line, sometimes you hear that in for-profit businesses, but it's very important to us in our nonprofit business, High USA. It represents our commitment to financial, environmental, and social excellence. It's a useful framework for us to be able to set goals for the organization and to measure our progress against those goals. I'm happy to say that 3 of my board colleagues will be helping set up and introduce those 3 topics. Our Audit Committee Chairman, Nicole Sandoval, hailing from Minnesota, will be introducing the topics surrounding the financial pillar. Our board secretary from Santa Monica, California, Erin Hammett, will be introducing the environmental topics. And our board vice chairman, hailing from the coast of Florida, will be talking about some of our social initiatives under the pillar of social. Following our board introduction, you'll meet a series of our staff who will talk about specific examples under each one of those pillars. So I'm really excited. You'll hear from lots of different people today. Right now, I'm going to turn the podium over to our CEO and President, Russ Hedge, and he will introduce our next speaker.
Thanks, Peggy. Great to be here today. Great to be here at the 2018 edition of our HiUSA Stakeholder Forum. It's my pleasure to introduce by tape David Chapman. David is the Director General of the World Youth Student and Educational Travel Confederation based in Amsterdam. He's a friend of Hosteling. He's a friend of HiUSA. And I think you'll find his observations today about the youth and student travel market to be particularly timely and very inspiring. So we're going to have a presentation by David by tape, and if we could roll the tape, please.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining me here on this session about youth travel and what is it all about. Just to make sure that you know who I am, I'm David Chapman, and I'm the Director General of WISE Travel Confederation. I'm sorry that I'm not actually there in person, and I hope that you will find this recording of interest. WISE is the only global not-for-profit member organisation promoting the social and economic value of youth and student travel. So now I'm going to tell you a lot more about youth and student travel. So let's just imagine for a moment that it's the year 2002, and you're one of the 70% of travellers using the internet as a source of information for your up-and-coming trip. But you may or may not be one of only 10% actually booking via the internet at this point. So let's also say that you're in your early 20s and you're filling in a travel survey called New Horizons. It's kind of long and maybe even a bit boring, but at some point you're asked, what travel services would you like to see on the internet? So this is the chance to tell the travel industry what you want from them. What would your answers have been? Well, I know a few of you are too old to remember what you were thinking in 2002, that's me as well, so I'll share a few suggestions from the New Horizons respondents from 2002. In their own word, the travellers asked for suggestions and stories about travels written by ordinary people, information about where hostels are and how good they are, the availability of free seats on an aeroplane, a portal where you can locate different job vacancies, the ability to compare prices for airlines, accommodations and car rentals, and a chat site for people on tour. Another question for you. You can think back to 2002 if you want to, but maybe it hasn't actually been that long. But when did you last use a phone booth, hitch a ride, or send a postcard when travelling? And we asked our New Horizons respondents about these behaviours up until 2012, when it became obvious that these were no longer such important travel behaviours to be tracking. Although 10% of young travellers reported hitchhiking in 2002, by 2012 it had pretty much fizzled out. But in 2017, we've seen its reincarnation, thanks to the internet and the sharing economy, such as ride sharing. Ride sharing was utilised by 11% of youth travellers in 2017, and particularly favoured by travellers aged 20 and younger. So why should you care about youth travel, and why is it important to understand if you work in tourism? Youth travellers aged 15 to 29 are officially recognised by the UNWTO as representing 23% of international arrivals. In 2017, that was 304 million trips. On average, the youth traveller stays longer and spends more than you might expect, and in some cases more than a typical tourist. Youth travel is not just a holiday or a vacation, as you say in the US. Youth travel includes educational endeavours abroad such as study, volunteering, work experience, au pairing and language immersion. In fact, more than 50% of youth trips have a purpose other than vacation. Youth are destination pioneers, experience seekers and trendsetters for mainstream tourism, attracting others to new places and activities that are off the beaten track. So again, what's the big deal about a segment of travel where 55% of them earn less than €5,000 annually? Well, what's special about youth travel is that youth visitors on average stay longer and spend more, as I've just said. And how do we know this? Through our surveys. And furthermore, youth travel spend has been growing since New Horizons has been tracking it. Globally, the youth traveller on average spends nearly €3,000 on his or her main trip in 2017. When exchange rate fluctuations are considered, the youth trip spend has increased by 18% since 2012 and 2017. Top activities undertaken in destination by youth travellers have remained fairly constant when we compare 2017 back to 2012. The young travellers seem to be doing more of almost everything except going to nightclubs. Not a good sign for music venues in a large city, however it seems that festivals are taking some of the share here. Events and festivals are a top travel splurge for young travellers, and the US, Spain and UK featured as the top destinations for youths who attend festivals abroad. Young travellers also indicated that food and drink experiences are the most splurge-worthy while travelling. Clearly, unique experiences over traditional travel upgrades on the plane or in a hotel are the key takeaways. Since 2007, the USA, France and Spain have remained within the top 3 most popular destinations for youth travellers, although in 2017 the USA lost some of its share. Clearly, young people are still interested in visiting the US, but are also deciding to explore other less visited destinations. Given a slight decline in long trips of 120 days or more and an increase in short trips, long-haul destinations like the US will need to start rethinking about how they attract young visitors, especially those interested in longer stays for study, working abroad, working holidays, au pair and other types of formal cultural exchange programs. As this presentation is particularly for you guys in the US, and it is one of the most popular countries for youth travellers to visit, we've pulled together a few special insights to share with you. Let me start by sharing this striking trend coming out of New Horizons. It's the steady decline of the backpacker, a classic youth traveller type and style of exploration, a guest that you would typically have found in a youth hostel 10 or more years ago. It seems strange that this classic youth travel style is in decline, while the hostel concept is currently enjoying a renaissance. Well, this is perhaps another example of youth travellers being the trendsetters for mainstream tourism. The reputations of hostels as safe, social and affordable travel accommodation has improved considerably amongst mainstream tourists, and the concept is currently the darling of major hotel brands, real estate investors and property development firms. Nowadays, all kinds of travellers use hostels and hostel-inspired hotel concepts, not just backpackers. Hostel-type travel accommodation is being replicated quite rapidly all over the world, except in New York, of course. Interestingly, hostel users visiting the USA spent about €300 more on their trip and stayed longer than did other youth travellers. The average total trip spend for these hostel users in the US was €3,917, and the average length of stay was 102 days versus 62 days. Regardless of the type of accommodation used during the trip, youth are spending around 14% of their total travel budget on accommodation whilst in the US. To put this 14% in context, The largest proportion of the total travel budget goes towards transportation to, from and within the destination. That's 33%. Whereas food and drink represents about 17% of the total travel budget. Hostel users also reported doing more activities while travelling than other types of travellers. Young travellers utilising hostel accommodations are avid pursuers of activities in destination, and this is something we see in most destinations when it comes to young travellers, that money saved on accommodation is money spent on activities in the destination or getting to a long-haul destination. In general, there has been a significant rise in the proportion of young people from emerging economies visiting New York City in recent years. As the youth population of the emerging economies will grow in future, this is where the greatest potential for demand-led growth lies. In contrast, the traditional core markets for New York in advanced economies have shrinking youth populations. Something special that we've learnt about all cities in the US from the New Horizons reports is the very important role that locals play in helping visitors discover the real cities. This is perhaps interesting and noteworthy for those of you who run attractions or activities and work with social media influencers. If you're looking to attract youth travellers, get to know your locals. Locals were more important than social media as a source of information about all of the city activities that we asked about. And with the exception of shopping, locals are particularly important for providing tips on live music, street food and walking around city neighbourhoods. So this really has been a whistle-stop tour through youth and student travel. I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen. If there are further information that you need, then please feel free to contact me. Russ Hedge will certainly have that information. I hope you have a great conference. Keep looking after these young people. Keep hosteling. Thank you very much.
And thank you to David Chapman. HiUSA is an active participant, an active member of the Wise Travel Confederation. We were a sponsor of that research, and in fact, our board of directors yesterday at their meeting dove into the research, as will staff, to try to help shape the future of what a hostel and hosteling means within the United States. So let's turn now from the global market to the United States market, and particularly to HiUSA. This year, as last year, I'm going to use the forthcoming annual report as a sort of framework for my year in review. So each year, the reservation engine Hostelworld makes various awards, including identifying the top 10 extra-large hostels in the United States based on guest feedback. I'm going to give the slides an opportunity to catch up here. Next one. I'm very proud to announce that 2 of our hostels in Chicago and Boston were named among the top 10 extra-large hostels in the world by Hostelworld. Also, there are top-ranked hostels within each major city. And I'm pleased to announce and honored to announce that our hostels in New York and San Francisco, our San Francisco downtown hostel, are merged as the most popular hostels within those cities. So congratulations to our staff and our volunteers for both of those hostels. One might ask, how does an organization like HiUSA, how are we able to deliver this level of guest satisfaction? Well, certainly, partly it's about the property. Partly it's about the location, but really it's about the people. It's about our staff who create a welcoming environment every day for our hostel guests. And it's about our volunteers who embrace the hostelers and the hostel stay in their delivery of activities and programs. A thread that you'll be hearing today, and actually Peggy Stevens made reference to this, is the triple bottom line. It acknowledges that what we think about, especially as a nonprofit, goes beyond the financial bottom line to include the environmental and social impact of what we do. Each year, Hosteling International names the top 3 greenest hostels in the world. And I'm also pleased to report that this past year, Hosteling International USA Hostels took all three of the top three positions. Two were the Cape and Island hostels, Nantucket and Truro, and then another mid-sized hostel in Richmond, Virginia, a hostel that opened about 3 years ago in Virginia. I'm also pleased to announce that that hostel, the Richmond Hostel, was named the world's #1 hostel by Hosteling International. I encourage you all to visit Richmond, to visit Virginia. Being named the #1 hostel among 3,500 hostels in the world is a real accomplishment. And if you visit Richmond, a city that's all about culture, it's about history, it's about recreation, you see how the Richmond Hostel is planted right in the middle of everything that Richmond represents. It's about a mile from the walking trails of the Bell Island walking trails, and about 2 miles from the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts. So I encourage you to visit that. So this is our 2017 awards page, and I think the organization is quite proud to have earned our share. What I'd like to do now is look at the other side of the awards page just for a minute. HiUSA received the prestigious Leader in Sustainable Travel Award from National Geographic. We were one of 4 organizations in the world to be acknowledged for our sustainability commitment and our sustainability programs, especially due to our Pack Your Impact program. So my thanks to all of our hostels for their commitment to sustainability. And special thanks to our sustainability staff and our marketing staff. And finally, HiUSA was named the #2 hostel network in the world by Hosteling International, again based on guest feedback. This award also should be shared by staff and volunteers across the network who work every day as part of our network to deliver an amazing hosteling experience. You might ask who was #1? #1, it was the Singapore Hostel Associations, and congratulations to Singapore. So let's look inside the annual report briefly and see what we can discover. I think I've mentioned in the past that our annual report has received awards for design and theme. And this year, our marketing staff has come up with another very interesting concept as to how to present our various accomplishments. If you look in the bottom right-hand corner in the contents section, you'll see that this report is laid out very much like a guidebook. And so what we'll do is take you through our accomplishments based on a guidebook format. It starts with our Vision 2020 statement, which clearly says that we are about cultural exchange. We are not about beds. Our hostels, our programs are a means to an end, and we're defining what we stand for as going beyond the traditional hostel stay to include advocacy, experiential education, and sustainability. So getting ready for travel before you go can depend on 2 elements. It's about having the information to plan and get comfortable with the idea of independent travel, and then having the funds to actually do it. To promote independent travel widely, we've prepared videos and engaged bloggers to help ensure the opportunities for work, study, and travel abroad are available and accessible and known widely. And of course, we want to promote that our hostels are a safe, welcoming base for those trips and those adventures. Moving beyond trip planning requires resources. It costs money to travel, and that can be a barrier for some. We now offer 2 scholarship programs to help make educational travel possible for deserving young people. You'll learn more today in some detail about our Explore the World and our Explore America travel scholarship programs. If we go to the next section, which is on the road, we want people to travel purposely and travel responsibly. and we offer a number of programs that promote exactly that. There are a couple of programs highlighted in this year's annual report. We want everyone to know about the Great Hostel Give Back, and we invite people to take advantage of it. This is a program for groups, groups of 6 or more. If your group comes to a city and engages in a community service project, your overnight is on us. It's free for the entire group. It's all about our commitment to promote civil society and to promote hostels as a community institution. We also want all of our hostel guests to take part in an exciting new environmental program and help us meet the million gallon challenge, which you'll hear about later today in another presentation. And next year, we'll be kicking off the Dorm of the Future. All of you hostelers within the United States will be excited to know that over the next 2 years, we'll be upgrading our dorm rooms with more features, more privacy, and more social space. Look for more details in the future. When you receive your annual report, you'll find there is a section that I'm not addressing today, which is a destination section. It highlights some of the unique activities and features that are being delivered at hostels across the country. Encourage you to dive into that. So let's now jump into the final section, which is returning home. HiUSA is an organization that draws on the energy and leadership from its volunteers. Peggy Stevens, our board chair, is a volunteer with deep experience in the environmental and scouting movements. She introduced you to our board of directors, who also volunteer their time and expertise and talent to HiUSA. And we have hundreds of volunteers who lead our programs locally and engage our hostel guests. When you return home, we hope you return home to volunteer and get engaged with HiUSA. And speaking of extraordinary people, we want to thank our donors who support our good work every day. Each year we highlight a donor that has made leadership gifts to the organization, and this year it's my honor to salute Gary Kerner. I hope when you receive the annual report, you'll look at his comments on page 12. They're very inspiring. And finally, I want to acknowledge our legacy donors, those who've left bequests to support the future of HiUSA. If you look carefully on this list, you'll find the names of supporters who have passed at HiUSA. When you join the Legacy Society, you join it in perpetuity. Oh, I knew I should have eliminated that from my remarks. Finally, I'd like to wrap up with sustainability, which we touched on briefly earlier. At HiUSA, we try to take into account the economic, the social, and the environmental impacts of everything we do. We believe that when we promote sustainability in each of those 3 areas, we promote global citizenship, we promote a better world, and that's what we're all about as an organization. The presentations, as Peggy indicated, the presentations will be grouped based on the 3 sustainability pillars. And it's my pleasure to introduce now Nicole Sandoval, who is a board member and our audit committee chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Russ. The financial pillar of the triple bottom line translates into a commitment by the organization to financial sustainability and helps ensure HIUSA's important mission, goals, and aspirations to thrive over the long term. HiUSA takes financial sustainability very seriously. We do not view it on a single-year basis, but rather with consideration for the future. We do this by developing 3-year budgets on an annual basis and having established financial goals, including targets for liquidity, cash, minimum reserve requirements, and cash provided for operations. We evaluate revenue trends, monitor operations for efficiencies, and set expectations for the bottom line. I'm pleased to tell you that we are performing well in each of these areas and that HIUSA is a financially sustainable organization. I'm also very happy to report that contributions from donors are increasing, which helps us realize our mission ambitions. Thank you. You'll hear from Chief Financial Officer Mike Rivers about HiUSA's financial strength in just a bit. Additionally, HiUSA is a nonprofit that has strong earned income through the overnight revenues we generate through our hostel operations and ultimately help us deliver our programs. To retain the strength of our earned income potential, we have to continually focus on our most important physical assets, which are our hostels. This means investing smartly in current hostel facilities and developing new hostels, including High New Orleans, which will open in just a few months. Erin Chafee, Vice President of Hostel Development, will update you on these hosteling plans after Mike's presentation. I'm now pleased to turn it over to CFO Mike Rivers and the Vice President of Hostel Development, Erin Chafee.
Thank you, Nicole. Very happy to be here with you all today. I have one slide to present, some very summarized financial results, and the slide should be in front of you now. It's our most recent 2 years of summarized audit results for our fiscal year ended 3/31/2018 and 3/31/2017. Fiscal year 2018, just as a reminder, was our fourth full year of consolidated results following unification. And I'm happy to report that each year we've seen revenue growth year over year since unifying as a unified organization. We also, for fiscal year 2018, we exceeded the $55 million mark in total revenues for the first time in the organization's history. Our revenue growth in fiscal 2018 as compared to fiscal year 2017 was about 2.6%, a healthy percentage increase year over year. We were pleased with that. On the expenses, you can see from the circle chart off to the right how we incur our expenses and what the allocation is. For a nonprofit organization, you always want to see expenses being incurred on your programs, on your mission delivery. And that's what we see here, and that's our how it looks typically for us year over year. Almost 87% spent on program and our mission delivery, with about 12% in the general and administrative category, and just over 1.2% in fundraising. Bottom line results are change in net assets from operations, often also referred to as our surplus. Each of the last 2 years has been right around the $1 million mark. That's a good number for us to be at, for us to target. It provides, on a cash flow basis, the cash flow that we need to run the operations of the organization day in and day out, but also provide for capital improvements to our facilities to make sure that we're maintaining our buildings in an appropriate manner. And I just want to close with saying that we are well-positioned financially for future growth and for providing the best possible guest experience both in and out of our hostel buildings. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Erin Chafee, my colleague, Vice President of Hostel Development.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Nicole. Excited to give some highlights on hostel development and the expansion of hostels for High USA. The first slide that you will see is you've already heard the exciting announcement about HI New Orleans will be opening. We're going to have a grand opening celebration on February 6th, so that's just around the corner. It's a fantastic project. We've wanted to be in New Orleans for a very long time, and this is what we're going to be getting is a fantastic new hostel. We're going to have a mix of dorm beds and lots of private rooms. It's a fantastic location on Canal Street. Anyone that's been to New Orleans understands that that's just the center of it all, in between the Central Business District and then also the French Quarter. And we're really excited because just around us there's lots of development going on, and we're very excited, and we're connecting to the aspirations of the city also for bringing Canal Street really back to life. It's always been exciting, but the upper floors on a lot of the buildings have been empty for many years, and we're participating in bringing that back to life. So that's very exciting. Also, besides New Orleans, and please, if you want, let us know and join us we're going to have a ribbon cutting at 11 o'clock on the 6th. So if you're local in New Orleans, join us for that. And we're going to have a fun little reception in the evening, too, between 5 and 8. Next slide, please. Also, Santa Monica was mentioned. Peggy, our board chair, mentioned that the board's here in Santa Monica. Got to visit for a reception at Santa Monica last night. Saw some of the renovations that we've done over the last 18 months to 2 years at Santa Monica. So it's been exciting. The hostel looks great, but it's just getting us warmed up for our next project, which is an expansion on Santa Monica. So folks, if you're watching and you've visited the Santa Monica hostel, you might remember there's a dining hall wing that's only 1 story tall in the back part of the building. That's where we're working on the plans for an expansion with a wing there that will be anywhere from 30 to 35 guest rooms. Lots more to happen on that over the next 2 years, but stay tuned, and in a couple of years you'll be able to stay in Santa Monica in increased space there. So that'll be exciting. Next slide, please. In addition to the work that we're doing in New Orleans and then also Santa Monica, we're also continue to explore additional locations across the country. If you're watching online, you'll see that there's 2 states shaded there, Colorado and Georgia. We've previously talked about interest in Denver and Atlanta, and that continues to be the fact that we're looking at opportunities there. That's not singling out other locations. We just wanted to highlight that because we've mentioned that previously. Next slide, please. There also, besides the, Michael, could you go back 1 slide? I'm sorry. Yeah. Possibly it's not there. I wanted to mention that in addition to these locations, that we also are really committed to small and medium-sized hostels. So for folks that are aware, that's about anything for 100 beds on down is what's included in that. We're really committed as an organization to that type of a hostel, along with the bigger hostels such as New Orleans, because we understand the stay experience that can happen in those hostels. So I wanted to highlight, let alone that we look at our expansion, and where I commented about Santa Monica and I commented about New Orleans, we're also looking for opportunities where we can do a small or medium-sized hostel also. Thanks, Mike, for the next slide. The other exciting point, and Russ mentioned it, and folks will see it, it's in the annual report, is that we're on a big launch to upgrade our dorm rooms. It's going to take a couple years. It'll take some work. But folks, when you're staying at our hostels, you're really going to appreciate it. We had a lot of questions and comments that came in for the forum around the quality of the beds, about locker storage. The fun thing about seeing those questions is all of those things are tied into the work that we're doing for what we're calling Dorm 2020 or Dorm of the Future. And stay tuned. If you visit New Orleans, you'll see almost all of the elements in that new hostel. But at other hostels, if you come and stay with us, you'll be seeing these over the next couple of years being implemented. So, apologize, this slide is a little mixed in the order. So this is what I just mentioned, that we are very committed, again, to the small and medium-sized hostels, and we'll be working on those. Also, to make sure that we have a diverse network and we have locations across the U.S., also have an interesting program, what we've had for many years, of licensing independently operated hostels so that they may use the HI brand and they can be part of the HI network. We've called those affiliate hostels, if folks have heard that term before. And starting at the start of 2018, we reformatted that program. And in the efforts for more and more independently operated hostels that are quality hostels to join our network and be part of the HI brand and the network of HI hostels. During 2018, at the very start, Nashville joined us, large hostel, great location. We're excited about them. And over the next couple of months, we'll have announcements about other affiliates that are joining us also. So great to be able to expand our network of hostels through the addition of our partners that are independently operated hostels. So that pretty much wraps up some highlights for hostel development. The key is I hope folks will come and join us in New Orleans, whether you can make the grand opening, that's fine if you can't, but come and visit us over the next year and enjoy just a great location and a great hostel, and stay tuned for more hostel openings also. Thanks a lot.
So Aaron Hammett, who is the Secretary of the High USA Board, will now introduce the environmental pillar of the triple bottom line.
Hi, I'm Erin, and as Greg just introduced me, I'm very pleased to introduce this environmental pillar of the triple bottom line. Based on hostel guest satisfaction ratings, many guests have pointed out to our organization that they're interested in sustainability and what we're doing to help the environment. So actually, High USA has been committed to the environment since our inception when we were founded in 1934. And the board monitors progress by setting governance policies and tracking metrics, and in our organizational pursuit to obtain Green Globe certification at every hostel. And so Green Globe certification is a rating system to assess the sustainability performance of travel and tourism businesses. And so overall, that would be about 34 hostels. So that impact is in the works. High USA takes great care and creativity to preserve and protect our building assets. Many High USA hostels are designated historic resources and or landmark buildings. Some examples include the Wrap Salon here in Santa Monica, the High New York Hostel, the High Pigeon Point Lighthouse, which is also one of the 2 tallest lighthouses on the West Coast. So I hope our viewers have been there, or hopefully will put that on their places to visit. And even our newest hostel rehabilitation project in New Orleans. The Green Building, we're talking about development projects or also existing building projects, but sometimes the greenest projects that we're working on are in fact located in places where we're already operating. And by that, I mean just the projects that we're doing inside our hostels that everyone's already familiar with. So with this, I'm going to hand you over to 2 key staff that are making sustainability impacts and furthering the tenets of this environmental pillar. So it's Natanya Trimboli, the Public Relations and Communications Director, and Zach Hetrick, our Sustainability Coordinator. Thank you.
Thanks, Erin. Our commitment to sustainability got off to a strong start at the beginning of the year as a National Geographic Leader in Sustainable Tourism Gold recipient based on our 2017 Factor Impact campaign, which Russ referenced earlier. Out of more than 100 applicants worldwide from across the hospitality industry, we were just one of 4 organizations to receive this honor. On the tail of this achievement, we won another notable award, this time with substantial grant money attached to it. And you should be on the next slide, Million Gallon Challenge. This global competition was sponsored by Booking.com's Booking Cares Fund. Booking Cares challenged the travel industry to submit proposals for their dream sustainability projects. They had 2 million euros to disperse with many organizations that met their ambitious criteria. They were looking for projects that were scalable, high impact, and innovative. What High USA proposed was implementing the Hydro Smart Shower across all our brand-operated hostels, accounting for more than 700 shower heads. This high-tech shower head changes color based on how long you're in the shower, starting out blue, then changing to green, then orange and red, providing a visual cue for when it's time to wrap up and get out. Additionally, this shower head is connected to an app that tracks shower-by-shower data to measure savings and impact. Our goal is to use these color cues to shave 30 seconds off the average guest shower time, which equals about 1 gallon of water. Since we host about 1 million overnights per year, this gave way to our consumer-facing campaign, the Million Gallon Challenge, where we would aim to save 1 million gallons of water per year. What's more is that the shower head has a universal fit, and as an experience-based shower, individuals learn about their own shower behavior and can bring home what they learn, making an exponential impact worldwide. I'm pleased to say loved this concept just as much as we did, and High USA was one of just 5 organizations to receive a grant out of more than 200 submissions. Ours was in the amount of 200,000 euros, or roughly $250,000. Zach will now talk about how we've been moving forward.
Thank you, Natanya, and all those listening on the line today. As Natanya mentioned, this project represents our continued effort to lead the conversation around responsible, impact-driven travel. but also shows our continued commitment to pursue innovative technology and operational methods. The Million Gallon Challenge has several deployment phases, and we just finished the initial pilot install of 100 showers between HI LA Santa Monica and HI San Francisco City Center. 50% of these showers have the lights on, as Natanya referenced, to encourage shorter showers, while the rest have them off to act as a control group. Next slide, please. Data collected from these two hostels will be used to develop a case study with George Washington University, and we're targeting World Water Day for that release. Our next phase will see showers installed at HI Washington, D.C., as well as for the opening for HI New Orleans. All HI USA associate hostels, about 35 of them, will have these smart showers by the end of next calendar year. And now I'll turn it back over to Natanya for a few more comments.
Thanks, Zach. We made our first announcement about the project at TravelCon this past September, a new travel conference for travel bloggers attended by over 600 influencers. We had a booth dedicated to the Million Gallon Challenge and set up a shower selfie station to show off the concept, as you can see here. It really resonated with this audience, with more than 50 influencers signing up to stay in the loop about the initiative. I've already contracted with 3 influencers to create content and post about the campaign, and I'm in the process of recruiting more. We'll do a coordinated release of much of the content on World Water Day, March 22nd, which is also when we will officially start tracking our water savings towards the Million Gallon Challenge. To amplify this effort further and get on the radar of major travel publications and reporters, I'm also working with a PR agency that Hi USA has an existing relationship with to help spread our success and achievement. Back to you, Zach.
Thank you. And next slide, please. The Million Gallon Challenge is obviously a key component of our environmental strategy in 2018 and beyond, but just one of our initiatives as part of our network-wide commitment to environmental responsibility. Earlier this year, we released our first environmental impact report, and I encourage all those interested in learning all about our different commitments to find it within the sustainability section of our website. And last slide, please. The report is structured to align with our 6 core areas of our environmental strategy, shown here on the left. We focus on carbon footprint, water, waste reduction, purchasing, building, and inspiring others. Within each, we have a set of operating standards as well as examples of innovative best practices. For instance, pictured here on the top left is an in-vessel composter that we are currently testing at New York City that turns food waste into compost in just 24 hours, a process that normally takes 6 to 8 weeks. In addition, we use renewable electricity at all associate hostels through the purchase of renewable energy credits to the tune of 7 million kilowatt hours per year. An example of one of our certificates is pictured below the composter. And finally, after evaluating all of our properties for solar energy feasibility over a few years, we installed a 24 kilowatt array on the rooftop of HI San Francisco City Center last spring that generates 1/3 to 50% of the hostel's electricity per month. These are just some of the highlights that you'll find in the report. And again, I encourage you to check it out to learn more. In closing, we are all quite proud of our commitment to environmental responsibility to date, but also understand that we all have a long journey ahead of us. If you wish to contact us directly about our environmental efforts, you can email us at sustainability@hiusa.org. Thank you all.
Thank you, Zach, and thank you, Natanya. Now to introduce the social pillar of the Triple Bottom Line is Board Vice Chairman Charles Hokanson.
Hello, everyone. I'm really pleased to introduce the social pillar for the Triple Bottom Line. And as a board member, I just want to start by saying I'm really pleased by how much progress we've been able to make in this area in the last couple of years. For example, Hi USA has established best practices impacting the understanding and behavior of not just our guests, but also community members in ways that are aligning with the goals of culturally and environmentally sustainable travel. And Hi USA also is offering carefully designed immersive environments that promote interaction and understanding among people of diverse backgrounds. As we're expanding the experiences, we have very targeted experiential learning programs that are fostering and strengthening cultural competence and enhancing the traditional tourism experience. frequently led by community volunteers that are interested in engaging with visitors and learning about them. HiUSA's programs are offering an opportunity to think about the traveler's impact on the places they visit and reflect on their own culture's similarities or differences. All of these community-led discussions, events, and service opportunities are helping participants develop a deeper perspective of a place, how it's shaping the people who live there and work there, and the various challenges that those communities face. In addition, the scholarship programs we offer are creating opportunities for young people to have life-changing travel experiences. So HiUSA's programs and our partnerships are very powerful, and they're also involving and benefiting a lot of local nonprofit organizations, businesses, academic institutions, and community groups. Engaging the community in this way, in all of these ways, is building trust and it's building understanding. And that trust really helps build an effective and supportive network. Network for good, which is really what HiUSA is all about. And now at this point, I would like to introduce Candace Washington, who's going to talk about HiUSA's education programs.
Good afternoon, everyone. HiUSA is, as you know, an education association, and we are committed to providing programming that will be relevant and effective and impactful for the local community. Our first goal as we look at how we're going to deliver on our mission through education is really about focus. While all of our education programs are impactful in their own right, we really show our strength as an organization and as a network when we can mobilize around national and global initiatives. Some examples of those that we've done previously are Sleep for Peace, where our locations with education staff did Value Voices, and those without were able to do a Postcard Party Plus, which was an elevated discussion surrounding our postcard party, which you will hear about in a few moments. International Education Week. Many of our programs serve to help travelers think about how they're going to take their first trip. And often that first trip is a study abroad. So we were able to mobilize around Travel 101, Hospitality 101, and Study Abroad 101 to ensure that, that potential travelers and new travelers had the information that they need to have a wonderful experiential learning-based trip. And coming up will be Earth Day. As you know, our sustainability is a very important focus for HiUSA, and so we felt that mobilizing and offering impact travel classes around this would be a great way for us to both inform the public and show that we are concerned about these issues. Next slide, please. Our next focus is on growth. We have many new people in our education department, and they're coming up with great ideas for new programs that will be beneficial and impactful for the community. The first actually came out of San Diego, Valued Voices, where it's an opportunity for participants to gather around in a safe space, non-judgmental, and really explore an issue and explore multiple perspectives around the issue with the goal of having a better understanding of not just your perspective, but a perspective that's different from yours. We have new travel education that focus on personhood and a unique experience in a new location, as well as travel about different types of location, are really adding to our portfolio of travel education programs. And everyone loves to eat, so we have been expanding our reach with cooking as a second language, which allows participants to explore a different culture through food. And lastly, we're always looking towards the future, and we have some exciting programs on the initiative. The first would be online travel education, which we're going to test out with Explore the World recipients as a new way of delivering our educational programs to help, again, prepare people for trips that they will be taking. Facilitation training is also on the agenda. This has been expressed as a desire by many colleges, and it will serve a dual purpose in helping people who may come back to present for HiUSA. And lastly, a first-time traveler program, which will take students from training, hopefully to an actual trip, and give us an opportunity to be providing access to travel, as well as ensuring that those participants have what they need for travel. So we're excited about what's coming up in education, and we look forward to sharing our programs with our communities.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Candace. Next is Felicia Wise, who is our scholarships manager, who will talk about Explore the World and Explore America. Felicia?
Thank you, Greg. Good evening, everybody. The Explore the World Travel Scholarship provides recipients with $2,000 towards international travel that incorporates education, volunteerism, or service learning. This year, we were in 13 communities, and through the hard work of staff and over 150 volunteers, we received over 1,800 applications and awarded 104 scholarships, a value of $208,000. Next slide, please. Our Explore America Scholarship, which just closed on November 11, 2018, provides recipients with $500 and up to 10 overnight stays at High USA hostels across the United States. This year, we launched the Explore America program in Boston, and it placed us in 4 communities. Applications are currently being reviewed by volunteers and committees, and we're hoping to have our awardees notified by December 14th, and there's 12 of them. The next slide, please. Our next step for the upcoming continuation of the program and expansion of it is to focus on the continuing engagement of recipients after travel through development of an alumni program, and also by collaborating with our Director of Education, Candace, to develop online modules that will allow us to expand the educational component so that our recipients feel like they're also receiving more information. And by doing this, we hope that we can help continue to continue to have more educational components and more value to the educational scholarship program. Thank you.
Thank you, Felicia. Now, Natanya Trimboli, Director of PR and Communications, will tell us about Sleep for Peace 2018.
Thank you. Sleep for Peace was started in 2013 by High USA as a way to celebrate the role our hostels play in creating a more tolerant world. Held on September 21st, the UN's designated International Day of Peace, this event quickly caught the attention of Hosteling International, which has been rallying HI hostels around the world to participate since 2015. Each year, our hostels share a theme, but this year we wanted to share an activity that made it loud and clear that travel is a powerful catalyst for creating peace. To make this impact, we needed a unified activity each hostel could do on the same day, regardless of size, location, language, or resources. We landed on the postcard, something that is as universal as it is emblematic of travelers everywhere. Moreover, in today's highly digital climate, mail is a disruptor, and that's exactly what we were after. To create this disruption, all postcards had to land at one place that shared messages around a common theme. Our destination would be the United Nations, and postcards would respond to the following. Travel changes the way we see the world. Describe something you have changed your mind about after traveling and meeting new people. Next slide. Early promotion kicked off with a UN World Tourism Organization endorsement and a feature in Forbes, followed by a Facebook Live with the founder of Girls Love Travel, a prominent Facebook group with over 650,000 members. On September 21st, HI hostels around the world would all host peace postcard parties. But the Hat Madrid hostel had the unique privilege of kicking things off on September 20th with a special guest, the Deputy Secretary General of the UNWTO. Next slide. To further amplify our message, we partnered with Wonderful to lead an international influencer campaign. They placed 10 influencers at postcard parties in 10 different countries who shared their experience through live Instagram stories and posted on Instagram and Twitter. Next slide. On September 21st, HI hostels hosted peace postcard parties as diverse as their locations. Through a partnership with My Postcard, individuals at home could also go online and have a real postcard sent to them at no cost. Next slide. Our project caught the attention of Peace Day 365, an organization dedicated to promoting the International Day of Peace all year long. They invited us to the UN to share our campaign on a powerful stage. On September 24th, the first day of the UN General Assembly, Russ Hedge and myself sat on a panel alongside world leaders in peace building with a sample of postcards on display. This event was streamed live on a channel that received 1 million hits per day. Next slide. Shortly after, we hosted a Twitter chat to deepen our conversation around the connection between travel and peace. With the influencers involved, this 1-hour chat earned about 18 million impressions. Next slide. In addition to the influencers, more than a dozen partners across the globe helped our message reach the masses, which you can see here. Next slide. In all, over 100 HI hostels in 21 countries participated, sending over 3,200 postcards combined. In addition to the paid influencers, I recruited another dozen domestically who believed in our cause and promoted our efforts free of charge. As a whole, our campaign received over 31 million impressions, reaching 63 countries, or about half the world. I'm currently evaluating opportunities to get these postcards additional exposure to continue the momentum. The success was truly based on a global collaboration, and I look forward to seeing what's next. Thank you.
Thank you, Natanya. Next is Cassie Oliver, Director of Volunteer Services, who will tell you about our volunteers. Cassie?
Hi, thank you. Yes, I'm excited today to highlight our volunteer program. Next slide. All right, so our volunteer roles. We have volunteers in our hostels that lead activities and events for hostelers. Those include tours, community meals, excursions, things along those lines. We also have education volunteers, and as Candace mentioned, we have 4 education staff now on board, and our volunteers are sustained with travel education, the cooking as a second language, as well as some legacy education programs. And we will probably see an increase in volunteers as their programs are growing. In addition, now our external affairs department, we have community engagement managers leading programs and events in the local communities and are relying on volunteers to support those. One project is these travel scholarships, which we have volunteers assisting with those, as well as helping with special events, tabling events, fundraising, and things along those level, as well as our national board. And all of these roles, we have staff supporting. So we have engagement staff in the hostels working with our volunteers to recruit and retain and appreciate them throughout the year, as well as our education coordinators, and as I mentioned, our community affairs managers. And our national engagement volunteer and education team supports all of these efforts. Next slide. Our goals with the volunteer program is to have happy volunteers. And one way we gauge that is our annual survey that goes out every August. And I'll be presenting a few of those highlights from that survey. Our goal to have an A or A+ on that survey. And I'm happy to say we did pretty well on that. We'd also like to see an increase in our volunteer program year after year to continue to bring on new volunteers and increase the hours that they contribute to the organization, which then results to an increase in impact on our community, education, and our hostels. It allows us to build capacity the more volunteers we have, and continue to develop resources to support our staff and their volunteer engagement, as well as to support our volunteers. Next slide. So just a few results from our annual survey. We've done really well with the support our engagement coordinators and staff are providing. So 92% combined said that the support they've received from their local volunteer liaison is excellent or good. And how appreciated does your volunteer liaison make you feel? 90% combined there as extremely appreciated or very appreciated. So I'm really happy with those results, and I'm very thankful for our staff and helping make those true. Next slide. How proud do our volunteers feel of their work? 94% feel extremely or very proud combined, which is really great and very important in volunteer retention, that volunteers feel that they're making a difference and a part of something larger than them, and that they feel proud. So I'm happy to say that we're doing really well in that area. And I think our signage in our hostels that lists our mission right when you walk in has helped with that, as well as just the job that the local volunteer teams are doing. Next slide. This is just more from the survey that 92% of our volunteers are extremely likely or very likely to recommend HIUSA as a place to volunteer. So that's great that our volunteers will recommend us. It's great word of mouth recruitment. So if you're a volunteer out there listening right now, please spread the word that HIUSA is a great place to volunteer. And we do get quite a few volunteers that lists family or friend as a referral on their application. So thank you for that. And 94% of volunteers strongly or agree that they have a greater appreciation for cultural differences between me and others. So we are making a cultural impact on our volunteers as well. Next slide. So just a couple new volunteer practices that we've implemented this year to help keep us up to date and have a stronger program. We now do a quarterly volunteer engagement training for staff so that they continue to have professional development in the area. We started a quarterly HIUSA intercultural awareness training, and that's webinar based. The next one will be on February 6th. It's held quarterly for ongoing volunteers. So if you're a current volunteer, you'll get an email and you can register. I'm happy to say that currently 100% of evaluations from the training state that they've increased cultural awareness by participating. And we've also updated our volunteer appreciation plan so that staff know when it's appropriate to appreciate and recognize volunteers throughout the year and for length of service. Next slide. All right, so we could not do what we do without you. Our volunteers are crucial to our organization and allow us to serve so many more hostelers and community participants. 54% of our events and hostel events are led by volunteers, which is amazing. And if you are interested in becoming a volunteer, the way you can do that is visit our website /volunteer. And there's a link that will take you to show you all the opportunities in our organization, or you're welcome to email me and I'd be happy to answer your questions. Thank you.
Hi, Peggy Stevens again. And my job is to say we've come to the end of our story for today, but I hope you've had an opportunity to take a peek inside our guidebook and see what we've accomplished this past year and already anticipate the good things, the amazing things that we're going to do in the coming year. So I look forward to having you back at next year's forum when we trot out and tell you about our new accomplishments as well as sustaining the things that we do best, which is bringing travelers together in conversation and understanding. Thanks for being with us today. I so appreciate that you took the time and that you chose to be part of this forum, our 5th, and more to come. Thanks.